Okay, I want to go over cost curves uh, because I think this lends itself to calculations, which I think is going to be a big part of whatever test you take. It's very difficult to communicate with people about it. You got to actually do the calculations. Make sure you have a calculator handy. Hey, you are allowed to use a calculator, as though they could stop you if you weren't allowed to use it. But anyway, know the basics of the cost curves table. You aren't going to have to create it. Just review it so that you know fixed cost plus variable cost equals total cost. And then marginal cost is the change in total cost or the change in variable cost. And know, like, they love this so much, it will be on the test in some capacity when fixed costs change, like from a lump sum tax or a one-time subsidy, the marginal costs remain the same, okay? When fixed costs change, marginal costs remain the same. If marginal costs remain the same, then where MR equals MC, the quantity of max profit will remain the same. And if you know that, that's almost always on every test in some capacity. Know how your cost curve's set up, okay? You aren't gonna have to draw anything, so you'll likely have to apply things. So let's say we have a lump sum tax, okay? Well, a lump sum tax increases total cost, okay? But of course, marginal costs do not change at all. So let's say we have a lump sum tax of $100, then these fixed costs all go from $100 to $200, and then the total cost goes from 235, 275. This would then be 300. But notice the marginal costs remain the same. What's going to happen on the having trouble finding markers at work, using so much. What's going to happen to total cost? Well, total cost went up. So if total cost went up, then average total cost would have to increase. So I'd have a new average total cost here. And then it makes sense by average fixed cost, the cornucopia, AFC, always full cornucopia, this space in here, is going to get bigger. My fixed cost got bigger, so it makes sense that my average fixed cost got bigger. My average variable cost did not change because my variable cost did not change. All right, so that's one type of problem that they could have there. Let me try this eraser on the back of the dry erase. Oh, don't fall. It's going to fall at some point during my presentation. Hopefully not soon. Also, they love diminishing marginal returns. All right, diminishing marginal returns is the point at which marginal cost starts to go up. So we have this brief period of specialization. Could be 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, okay, where marginal costs go down. All right, after this second one, marginal cost goes from 15 to 17. So after the second quantity, all right, we notice marginal cost starts to go up. That's the point of diminishing marginal returns. They love that. On the graph, where is that? That's right here. Makes sense, the lowest point on the marginal cost curve. All right, what are some other things that could happen? Well, if there's an increase in variable cost, well, that's different. When fixed costs change, marginal costs remain the same. When variable costs change, all three of these curves on here move up. Average fixed cost remains the same. Well, that's the gap in between. So these kind of all move up in unison. Okay, so variable costs change. All of these costs will then shift up. And because marginal cost changes, that will also change the quantity of max profit. Think, well, if costs go up, what's going to happen to the quantity? Okay, when most of these things happen, it's either increase, decrease, stay the same. If costs go up, think logically. If variable costs go up, quantity of max profit is going to decrease, right? Okay, so if I have here, I draw in, my marginal cost went up, average variable cost go up, average total cost goes up, all right? That's going to decrease the quantity, right? Because just as logical that higher cost interferes with quantity. All right, so know your basic table. Another favorite pastime of theirs is giving you the fixed cost, the variable cost, and the quantity, and asking you to figure out the average total cost. Well, here, the average total cost is 220 divided by 1, which is 220. Here, it's 235 divided by 2, right? Here's 252 divided by 3. So now how to calculate your averages, okay? If you're given the fixed and the variable, know how to calculate the average, you've got to divide by the quantity. So this is easy math. If my total cost is 300, my quantity is 5, my average total cost is 60, okay? Don't worry too much. You're not going to get a whole big, huge table, okay? A likely thing is they'll give you fixed cost and variable cost and ask you to calculate a marginal cost. Well, the marginal cost is the change in total cost, or it could also be the change in variable cost. All right? That's your basic of your cost curves. You're not going to get your cost problem all isolated by itself. It's probably going to be mixed into a perfect competition problem. Okay, so that's why the fixed cost changing, marginal cost stays the same is so important, because they're going to try to tie that into quantity of max profit. All right? And know that if variable costs change, what's going to happen? Well, all these curves are going to shift up. All right, this average fixed cost is going to stay the same. All right, this won't be a question in and of itself. It'll be probably part of another question. Oh, if they do have a one-time subsidy, well, a subsidy, let's say it's, $50 subsidy, doesn't necessarily matter. Well, the fixed costs go down. All right, so if the fixed costs decrease, what happens? Well, my average total cost is going to decrease. So this curve comes down, but note, my average variable cost remains the same. So this little skinnier cornucopia is my new average fixed cost, which makes sense because we had reduced fixed costs. All right. Also, might as well run through these. Where marginal cost hits average variable cost, at the minimum, that's for sure a shutdown. Okay, but you can have shutdown in different situations where, as long as the price is less than average variable cost. So if average variable cost is part of the question, it's likely 99% of the time about the firm shutting down, okay? Average total cost, where marginal cost hits average total cost, is the quantity of productive efficiency, right? My cousins are the coolest people ever, right? Productive efficiency. Okay, and that comes into play in the monopolistic competition graph, which we're going to pull up right now. Hopefully this won't fall down. So I got a graph here that said don't fall down. All right, so what they're likely to do, and it kind of is annoying because sometimes their relatively elastic demand curve comes down a little bit tighter. Hopefully that's not the case, but you see something like this, relatively elastic demand, I got the marginal revenue tucked underneath. That's monopolistic competition graph. Okay. What's the main characteristic of monopolistic competition? Differentiation of products, right? So let's say these are burritos. I know there aren't many $20 burritos out there, but hey, inflation, you know. When I was a kid, candy bars were 25 cents. That's like $1.40. What the heck? All right, so where's the quantity of max profit? Always where M equals MC. Don't make this the price. Price is always where? Price is always on the demand curve. Here's my demand curve. I go up from the intersection. There's my price. My price is 20. Where's my average total cost? I go up to average total cost. Well, this is not a good situation, is it? The average total cost greater than the price. I have a loss, this rectangular region here. Okay. Is there consumer surplus in this situation? Well, yes. Even if the firm's losing money, it doesn't change the fact that the consumer here is willing and able to pay along the demand curve up here. Not everybody has to pay $20. They may ask you to calculate the value of consumer surplus. I go from here to here is 4. From here to here is 100. 1/2 times 4 times 100 is equal to 200. So that would be the value of the consumer surplus. Here I have the productively efficient quantity, 130 from max profit to productive efficiency is 100 to 130. That's our excess capacity. Excess capacity is unused capital equipment and plant space. Now, normally I don't want to go through making the long run equilibrium graph, but understand that perfect competition is similar to monopolistic competition, that in the long run, it'll end up at normal profit. It's a little less obvious what the long run price and all that kind of stuff is, but it is going to end up where price ends up equal to average total cost. Why? Well, monopolistic competition is easy to join, easy to leave. This is bad. There's loss being experienced by this firm, which if it's a typical firm means firms are going to leave the industry, which means the demand curve, right, price is going to go up as the supply of burritos decreases, which is going to bring our demand curve up until it kisses the average total cost curve, and then you'd have that little tangent, okay, which I'm too lazy to draw right now, okay. So that would be what would happen in the long run. It is an inefficient market. Perfect competition is the only one that is efficient. And if I just say the word efficient, I'm talking about what kind of efficiency? I am talking about allocative efficiency. That's the most important. Well, this is the allocatively efficient point. We're not producing there. We wouldn't be producing there ever in this market as a firm, but that's allocative efficiency where price equals marginal cost. There is dead weight loss because this is an inefficient, it's not efficient, not allocatively efficient. And then here, again, that's my point of diminishing marginal returns, my lowest marginal cost curve. They may ask you to calculate, okay, total revenue, total cost, and profit or loss. So total revenue is the price times the quantity, okay, 20 times 100. Total cost is average total cost times the quantity. Total revenue minus the total cost gives us a loss of $400, okay. Monopolistic competition can be an easier one, okay. If you are familiar with it, it's kind of an underdog compared to perfect competition and monopoly. But there's only so many different directions they can go with this. Now, let's say that we had a change in costs. Let's say there is a, let's say for whatever reason, all costs go down. Okay, what would happen? Well, you don't have to draw in new things, but you could know that there's going to be a greater quantity. Okay, also there would be a better situation in terms of profits because costs are coming down. And then how would that impact price? Price remains the same. Okay. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Price would be different because we'd have a different MR equals MC. Apologize about that. Okay. Alrighty. That's it for costs and monopolistic competition. Remember, monopolistic competition, pancake houses, products that many people make, differentiation is the key.